welcome to Mums at the Table. You're here with Rachel and Shonan. But we're going to start with the topic of how you deal with chaos and stress. And in particular, I'm referring to those first few weeks of becoming a mum. You're going from, it's all about me, servicing me, to just completely pouring yourself into someone else.
It's a complete blur for me. I don't remember much of those first few weeks. I think because I don't want to remember them. But yeah, they are pretty chaotic. They're hectic. You've got the screaming baby. You don't know what you're supposed to be doing with it.
The responsibility of keeping this thing alive,
Yes.
you know, it is stressful.
Yeah.
You're pouring everything into it because there's no communication. You don't really understand why they're crying, or, you know, all of their needs.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of stress, and it is high stakes. It's a human life.
It's like starting a whole new job all over again and having to learn the processes. There's the breastfeeding, there's changing nappies, there's sleep time, and there's so much pressure around being a new mum. And then add to that the whole mothers group and everything else that goes with it.
And look, it's easy enough to say, look at other mums, see how they're going, but that can actually create just
more
as
problems,
much stress as well.
Yeah.
So what did you do? How did you deal with it? And was there anything you did to sort of get yourself out of that?
A lot of it for me was because I don't have my family, I have Gary's family around me. Yep. So a lot of it was church people. It was a lot of relying back on them and asking them to help.
So you sought out a community.
Yeah, I had to because I had a special needs child, so I needed to do that. And also just relying heavily on Gary, which was not so good for him. That's my husband, not so good for him. But yeah, it was just a matter of farming as much off as I could.
Getting that extra help. And I think that's probably where I created stress for myself, because I didn't feel like I could ask for a lot of help. I mean, I had my family around. My mum would come whenever she could, but both my parents were working full-time. My husband's family was somewhere else. And this baby was having, you know, struggling feeding, sleeping, everything. And it was just this complete nightmare. And I'm like, I can't even leave this situation. Like, it's here in my face. Yeah. And so coping with it was incredibly hard because I wasn't astute enough to ask for help. And that's one of the big things everyone says, from experts to other mums. Find your community, find some people who can relieve some of that pressure.
And take the pressure off yourself. The dishes don't need to be done. The vacuuming doesn't need to be done. You don't need to clean the shower. That will survive for a few weeks or months until you get someone to help you.
You've got to be able to sort of step outside yourself a little bit to
look
make
after
some
the
of those
baby.
decisions. But always, you be good, the baby will be good too.
Yep.
The struggle is the juggle, I tell you that much. Juggling parenthood, motherhood, fatherhood, all of that can be quite tiresome for a lot of us. So how do we take care of ourselves?
I think
should we?
Yeah, oh, absolutely we should. I think it's in acknowledging that parenting is hard. Parenting is hard. And it's hard because you care, because you want the best for your children. You want your children to grow up into healthy human beings. And so sometimes that juggle, we feel guilty. Parents are so bad at loading the guilt on themselves.
But we also live in a society that tells us you need to do this, you need to do that. And so I guess that there's a lot of guilt as parents that we find and we have to battle ourselves. So it's so important that we do.
It's fascinating you say that, because the irony of me sitting here as an adolescent child psychologist isn't lost on me. I'm part of the feeding information, and so it's really learning what information is healthy for you as a parent, and also if it's making you feel loaded down with guilt, then perhaps there's something else you need to look at. But really, I think self-care is about filling your own tank. And if your own tank as a mum or a dad is not filled, you've got nothing left to give. And when you engage in self-care, what actually happens is you get a positive knock-on effect to the rest of your family. So
I love that.
Important.
I love that you say that, because people do say, if you're not looking after yourself, how are you going to be able to look after everybody else?
Yes. Yeah, and so self-care is really looking at things you love. Perhaps now that you're a parent, you've dropped things that used to bring you joy. You know, some things may not be possible to pick up. I mean, maybe you skydived once a week and that's now not possible. But it's looking at things that could be something that could potentially bring you new joy. It's exploring new options. It's anything from 5 minutes to half a day to sometimes planning a whole day for yourself once a year.
I've actually just recently taken up training, which is new.
Yes, good for you.
Because it was about finding an out. It was about finding something that I can use all that built up energy or frustration onto something physical.
I'm so glad you brought up exercise because that's such an important part. And if my husband is watching this, hi babe, because he's the one who often really reminds me about exercise because exercise is so good for your well-being. It's good for your head, not just your body. And so it's finding those few moments, just moderate exercise once or twice a week even. Having a long bath, if that works for you. For little mums of little children, sometimes 5 minutes on the toilet is what you need for self-care. So it's really just being okay and giving yourself permission, engaging with your children when it's necessary, but it's okay to say, you know what, mummy will get back to you and put on the TV show during your self-care
I love
period,
that.
if that's what you need to do.
Put on that show. That's the best way. Reality TV shows, I guess, sometimes are a great way of downtime. But look after yourself because you matter.
Okay, I've got the $1 million question for you. Every man in Australia wants to know this. When will the romance return after kids?
Wait, why does the men want to know that?
Oh, well...
For Pete's sake.
Isn't that how it is?
No.
Oh, so you want to know when the romance comes back. Okay.
I think, look, it's all beautiful before kids. And look, for some people, it is incredibly beautiful during kids. But Chris and I really struggled. Just all that focus on the kids, because they were so intense. You know, our first one was incredibly hard. It took up a lot of our energy. We just sort of stopped being romantic for such a long time. You all of a sudden go, oh, hang on, wait.
Oh, another partner over here.
Not quite. But, you know, hang on, do I know them? And you sort of start to think, hang on, we need to spend some time together. We're missing out.
Yeah.
So what was it like for you? Because Gary's a bit of a romantic, isn't he?
Gary's an absolute romantic.
And that's nice.
No, he is and he isn't. He's good at doing romantic gestures, as in he'll go and, if I want him to do something, he'll go and do it, and he'll open car doors.
So he's practical.
He's very practical, but he's not good at buying flowers or chocolates or anything like that.
You're the gift giver.
I'm the gift giver and I want them, But for us, the one thing I've learned over looking back at our life with kids is that you have to be very purposeful with these things. So once the kids sort of got old enough to stay at home by themselves, we started not date night, because I felt that was really tacky, but we started just doing things together. So like on a Sabbath, we'd go for a picnic lunch together.
So a date without the title.
Yeah, date without the title. Okay, whatever. Your movies, we do all that sort of stuff. Now we're spending so much time together because the boys have left home and we've reconnected earlier on before they'd left. And I think that's really important because some people get to the end of it,
and they're like, I don't know you.
Yeah.
Were you? What was it like when the kids were young and it was really intense? You also had a special needs child. Was it really hard to be purposeful though?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have people who could babysit for us, so it was
be
really hard. But I would do special nights, like I would, cook special meals for him or things that he liked. Yeah.
I think a piece of advice that someone gave me, and it stuck to me to this day, and we've nearly been married 15 years, is that every day say thank you for at least 2 or 3 things from your partner so that they always know they're appreciated. And I feel like that's been part of our battle, is we've both felt unappreciated. So there are lots of great little purposeful things that you can do to keep that romance alive at any time.
We're making lentil bolognese, a different version to your bolognese, your normal bolognese, but it tastes similar. I have meat-eating friends that absolutely love this recipe. So we're going to start with some oil. We'll put some oil in a hot pot. So I've got onion, celery and garlic. Onion, celery and garlic. I just throw it all in together. So I just fry it off until the onion becomes translucent. Yeah, that's it. Just brown it off a bit. So now we're going to add the herbs. It's not browned yet, but I like adding the herbs now. So what do we got there? We got oregano and thyme. Oregano and thyme. These herbs actually really make this recipe. The flavours are awesome. If you've got fresh thyme, even better. But you know what? The dry stuff, I just find it lasts longer in the pantry. So there we go. You cook out the herbs with the onion, garlic, and celery. Oh, wow, I'm really excited about this. All right, that's looking good. I think we're getting somewhere. So it's just 1 can tomatoes or passata, 1 can tomatoes or passata, whichever one you want to use. 1 can of organic lentils, that's what I like using. So 1 can of organic lentils. Of course you can. Yep, a little bit of salt, so I add maybe 1 teaspoon or 2 teaspoons depending on how much you like salt. I like using Himalayans, that way you've got all your yummy...
I have the potato.
Okay, so this is another key ingredient to this recipe. It's a jar of tomato pesto, which you can get at any supermarket. Each jar's about 190 grams. So I use that. You can actually, if you've got your own sun-dried tomatoes at home, like a jar, you can actually blend it and make your own little paste out of it, which I do when I've got time. But otherwise, just use a jar of it from the shops. So I use 2 punnets of cherry tomatoes cut in half. That's it, 2 punnets cherry tomatoes cut in half. And that is it, that's what's in the recipe. Then I just stir it and mix it through. I put the lid on it and then I let it cook for about 20 minutes. And you just check on it when it's all nice and soft and mixed through. You'll see that the cherry tomatoes will start to soften and they'll break up a bit. That's how you know it's ready, but 20 minutes is more than enough for this recipe on a medium-high heat. And I'm gonna let that cook with the lid on it, but I'm actually gonna show you what it looks like because I made some yesterday and I had it in the fridge. So this is all warmed up. And I put it, the kids love penne, wholemeal penne. And I found, you just have to look and shop for recipes, but I found a really good wholemeal penne. This is so awesome, look at this. So there you have it. Oh man, this dish, seriously, it will steal your heart. It is seriously amazing.
Cheese on it.
Yes, with cheese. I know how much you love the cheese, don't you? Okay, there you go. Mummy hugs. See you guys next time.
But that is all we've got time for today. We are on YouTube, Facebook. We've got a Mums Facebook group page you can join if you want to be supported by other mums. But that is it for us today. We will see you next time. Bye for now.